Hey, what's going on? It's Nick with Survivor Classic Car Services. Doing a quick little walkthrough on setting base ignition timing on a small block Chevy. What we've got here is a 79 Camaro. It has a small block Chevy, 350 cubic inch V8 in here. It does have a 2-barrel carburetor, which we did a 2-barrel carburetor tuning video once before, so I'm not going to really touch on that. We're just going to kind of go into setting the base ignition timing just to make sure that everything's kind of running as it should. Now, the ignition timing on this car was already good. I did check it, so everything was good. I went ahead and screwed it up just so we could play with a little bit. So we'll dive right in and I'll kind of go over what we need to do here. So first and foremost, this is your distributor in the back. This is what's responsible for setting the timing for the engine, for the most part, or the ignition timing specifically. This is a vacuum advance. So you can see it's got a vacuum module right here at the side of the distributor. We want to make sure that that's disconnected so that we're just getting the base ignition timing. This one is set by a vacuum line that goes all the way around up to this check valve here. Now, whenever you disconnect a vacuum source, you want to make sure that you've capped off whatever it was disconnected from, because there's still going to be vacuum there. It can cause your engine to run lean or have a higher idle than normal. And you want to make sure that we're not causing any damage while we're trying to diagnose other issues. So I just threw some tape on there just to cap it off, because that's not going to be a permanent thing. When I took the air cleaner lid off, there was also a little vacuum spot right here, so I went ahead and taped that up as well. You may have something, you may not have something, but if you do, you just want to make sure that all the vacuum spots are capped. So once we've got that disconnected, there is down at the base of the distributor, you can see there's that single bolt right here that's connected to a tie down that stops the distributor from being able to move. Now, I've already gone in and loosened this, so this does spin freely. Once that's set to our ignition timing, we want to lock that in so that that cannot move, because obviously we're setting it because we want it to be a specific value. If we don't lock this down and allow this to rotate with the engine, then it's not going to be the value that we want. So we want to make sure that we have that set appropriately. So that's kind of our getting ready. Now, every small block Chevy is going to have a little bit of a different approach. But what we are going to be looking for on this Camaro is very difficult to see. So I'm not sure how well this will pop up, but if you look straight down, let's see if I can get a pointer in here, right about there. There's a little tab that sticks off from the engine that has a set of numbers on it. Now, those can be really difficult to see. Usually they're a little bit more accessible, but this being an F-body, it's just kind of snug in there. But to make the numbers a little bit easier to read, you can either, I've seen people take a paint pen or a grease pen and kind of mark things up. I've also seen people take a dab of spray paint and wipe the spray paint on it, and it'll leave paint down in the recesses, so it's a little easier to see. There is a corresponding mark on the crank balancer that as it's spinning, you'll see flashes of it when the timing light picks up a signal from the #1 spark plug wire, and I'll go over that in a second. And so what you're ideally looking for is for the line that's on the crank hub to line up with whatever the indicator is on that tab that's affixed to the engine. So every time as it's coming around, it'll line up at the specific moment that the #1 spark plug is firing. And that's how you know when it's in time or timed appropriately. Now, there's a lot of people say a lot of things about what the timing should and shouldn't be. And generally speaking, you can look at the stickers along the header panel, and usually one of them, and this one's a little worn out, but this one will tell you specifically timing, and this was for the original 5.0 305 V8, but it specifically says that you're looking for, on an automatic transmission, an idle of, it looks like a 580 or 560. The sticker's a little goofed there, but right around 550 or so RPMs, you're looking for 4 degrees of base timing. And this also does look for, actually, you know what, it calls for 500, excuse me. So 500 idle which it does call for a little bit further down. It also lets you know your spark plug gap, and a couple other things of kind of what it looks for. Now, generally speaking, you can add a couple degrees of timing. It'll get you a little bit more performance, but it's not anything that's going to damage anything. It'll just make it feel a little bit peppier, but you're always safe going by the numbers that are stamped by the manufacturer. So the last thing you'll need is a timing light. This is one that I picked up from Harbor Freight. They're relatively inexpensive. I want to say this was 30 or 35 bucks. You can spend a lot more, get a lot more features, a lot more, you know, whatever options on it. This does what I need, so that's all I was willing to pay. And it's going to have two main connections. One of them is going to come over to the battery to get power. So you've got positive and negative. The other side is a clamp that you're going to clamp on the spark plug wire. You always want to clamp it on number 1 because that's what the base ignition timing is set for. And then as we start the engine, you'll aim the light down the hole that we were looking at here to look at the ignition timing marks. And you hold the trigger, and every time that it detects a signal coming from the spark plug wire number 1, it's going to fire a quick flash of light. And I'll show you in a second. It's just going to be very loud, so you won't be able to hear me talk. But you'll see a quick little flash of light. And again, we're looking for, as the crank hub is rotating around, that specific indicator line to line up with the bracket that's mounted on the block. So I don't know how well the camera's going to see this, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start up the car, and I'll first just kind of play with the distributor a little bit so you can kind of hear the difference in how the idle is based on the timing. I'm not going to go wild with it because, you know, I'm not trying to damage anything, but just to show that there is a change in how the idle reacts. It may even stall out the car. So I'm going to go ahead, fire this on, and we'll see how it runs first. So it's still running, but you see if I play with this a little bit. You can hear the idle change. And now with the timing light, I'll just kind of point it at the engine. So I don't know how well this will pick up on camera, but you can see we start getting a flash as I'm holding the trigger. I stop, it stops, hold the trigger, it starts. And so we're looking for down here, we have this line that's on the brake, line up, and the way, if that's wrong, the way that we change that is by spinning the distributor one way or the other until we get the timing mark that we want. Now once that's done, let me shut this off. Once you have the base ignition timing set, you should go back and adjust your carburetor to make sure that the air-fuel ratio is appropriate at the new timing, because that can alter that a little bit. It's not the biggest deal, but you just want to make sure that you're going through and getting everything set as well as you can. Setting the ignition timing is a mechanical fixed thing, so once you have that set, it should not alter unless there is some mechanical change. The air-fuel ratio is a little more fluid, where once you set the carburetor, if you change other things, that can be changed based on those other things. So when you change the timing, it can change how the air-fuel ratio is. If you change the airflow, you know, you add a set of headers or something like that, or a different set of cylinder heads or a different camshaft, that can change the air-fuel ratio. So you want to make sure that you're always keeping tabs on that and making sure that that's run safe. But otherwise, that's kind of it. I'm going to try and stop this video before we hit the 10-minute mark. But thank you for joining, and hopefully next time I'll get a car that has a little bit of a better sight into the ignition, and we'll dive into that a little bit more. But otherwise, we'll see you next time.